Welcome to the Darkstream. Vox Day, voxday.net, and unauthorized.tv. So thanks for tuning in. We are going to embrace the conflict that is an intrinsic part of our experience as a community. What do we say all the time? Conflict is in the air we breathe. It's the water in which we swim. Now, a lot of you are familiar that in addition to Castalia Library, there are two other deluxe publishers of note. One, of course, is Easton Press, the heirs apparent to Franklin Library. They're the big one. They're the giant. But we don't really compete with them. We actually share some manufacturing facilities, printing facilities, et cetera, et cetera. They've got a lot of respect for what we do. We've got a lot of respect for what they do. The second player is a bit more of a, they're number one. Excuse me. There'll be more where that comes from. They're number one. We are pretty distant number three. But there's a number two player who actually historically precedes Easton, possibly, excuse me, possibly even precedes the Franklin Mint, the Franklin Library. And so that, of course, is Folio Society. And they're actually celebrating their 75th anniversary. And I can tell you more about Folio Society in a bit. But one thing that you should be aware of is that now that we've got the bindery just about fully operational, I'm hoping to have good news for you within 2 weeks. But we're starting to do some work with other folks. We're starting to do some work with clients and stuff. Like, for example, this is not quite right, but this is one example of a case that we're doing for a client. This is actually on the fancy bonded leather. So we have the cases and everything. Because we don't sell enough books to come anywhere close to using up our productive capacity. And so one of the best things that we can do is help other authors, help other publishers expand their offerings, improve their quality, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're probably talking with 20 different authors and publishers about this kind of stuff. Now there's companies that do, agents and book services companies that are, working with different people. And of course, some of them have begun talking to us, as you can imagine. So we were pleased when one of these guys got in touch with us and said, hey, you should probably talk with Folio Society. We're like, okay, well, why is that? I mean, they do deluxe books, yeah. And the reason was that they have occasionally done leather books. They do some now. But the companies that did their leather books, one of them was in Germany. The other one is in Italy. The German company went out of business. The Italian company stopped doing leather. They had a change in management, and they're focusing on their main business, which is just, they do an enormous number of just regular hardcovers and paperbacks. I mean, we're talking like it's closer to 100 million than 10 million. Let's put it that way. So anyhow, with all this, so we're like, okay, well, this could be cool. We could certainly step in and do that. They do some leather. In fact, I suspect they might even have been imitating what we were doing because they started doing goat skin about 2 years ago. But it's super expensive because they're basically doing it by hand. It's just not competitive. And so we're like, okay, that's cool. We can certainly talk to them and that sort of stuff. So the agent had a meeting or whatever, and so got back to me and said, yeah, it went really well. They're really interested. All this kind of stuff. Everything's really good, et cetera, et cetera. And then he calls me 2 days later. He's like, yeah, so I just got an email, and apparently they looked you up, and they just they said, we absolutely will not work with Castalia. We're not at all interested in working with anyone as evil as Vox Day, et cetera, et cetera. And now this, initially I thought, so what? They do like one or two, they do on average like one leather book every other year, maybe one a year at most. So who cares? That was my initial reaction, like, yeah, whatever. And then I thought, that was really incredibly disrespectful. At no point in time did they even talk to us. Did they even, they were literally talking like that about me to somebody else in the industry. Literally, poisoning the water. I mean, they didn't, obviously they don't have to work with us. If somebody doesn't want to work with us, they don't need to give any reason at all. Just, what? It's not really in our plans. We're going to proceed in another direction. There's all kinds of alternatives to simply say, we're not interested. So they had to go out of their way to try to tell this person who, may or may not be, malleable, may or may not be influenced by their talking like that. As it happens, they're not, but or they wouldn't have just told me everything, right? But so I thought, not unlike back in 2013 or 2014, whenever it was, that I was informed that I had gamed my Hugo nomination for Opera Vita Aeterna, which was not true. But you'll recall my response was, oh, if you're going to accuse me of gaming a nomination, let me show you what me gaming a nomination actually looks like. And of course, that was where Sad Puppies came from. That was where Rabid Puppies came from, et cetera, et cetera. So, can any of you loyal viewers guess what the response of your humble consumer advocate, kinder, gentler Dark Lord will be? What do you think would be an appropriate response in this difficult situation? I'm curious to know if you have any good ideas, if you have any thoughts on the matter, if you have any recommendations, because I've got some thoughts. I've got some ideas. But I'd be interested in hearing your ideas first. Get them to switch to vegan leather. They're barely using leather anyhow. Hold my skull goblet. Deplore Bear says, "Blood for the blood god." That's true. We got to look up my while you guys are putting up your ideas. We need to find our inspiration. You know, I have to admit, this is pretty much, you know, there's that song, "You're the meaning in my life, you're my inspiration," that kind of thing. Um, I have to admit that this particular meme it kind of serves that purpose for me. Um, it's one of those things where you just kind of like to look at it from time to time because it makes you happy. Of course, I can never remember where I put it. Oh, it's because none of this stuff is in alphabetical order, of course. Let's see if we can arrange to do that. There we go. There we go. So the idea is burn it all to the ground in game. Pile the skulls, bounce the rubble. Crushing seems prudent. Uh, so anyhow, um, here's what's interesting about Folio Society. They've been around for 75 years, but they peaked in 2008. Um, I happen to have gone over all their financials for the last 25 years. And uh, about 9 years ago, um, they got rid of their very successful membership program. They had this membership program where uh, to buy a Folio Society book, you had to be a member. And to be a member, you had to agree to buy at least 4 books a year. And this was very successful for over 50 years. Well, they got a new CEO who decided that the membership program was too elitist, and they got rid of the membership program because then all these people could just buy 1 book or 2 books. Well, guess what happened? A lot of the people, it turned out, were only buying 4 books because that's what they had to do. And so then they started, of course, pushing the SJW stuff. And so what's already happened is that their sales are already, if corrected for inflation, their sales are already 1/4 of what they were in 2008. So they're not in a strong position. And in fact, the owners actually sold out to the employees. So this is not a problem that can be fixed. The SJWs now control the organization. The inmates literally run the asylum. And you can tell it's not going terribly well because I've literally received emails the last 5 days in a row announcing more and more books being offered at 50% off. And this is not necessarily, the old books. This is stuff that has come out very recently. So, what I am pleased to let you know is coming is that we are going to introduce a new line, not just a new line of books, but a new sort of philosophy. And it's going to be called Signature Society. And what Signature Society is going to do is immediately allow anyone who is willing to buy 4 books a year to have access to Castalia Library, Castalia History, and Libraria Castalia. The prices are going to be, they're not going to be as good as subscribers. So basically, if you're a subscriber, you're automatically part of the Signature Society. But if you're somebody who's not a subscriber, you're going to be able to buy the books that we have in stock for a discount off of retail, but again, not competitive with being a subscriber. Basically, if you buy the 4 books, you'll save about $100 on average. So it's a good deal. That's just to get things started. We're actually going to set up a separate store. We've already acquired, and we're focusing initially on the UK because that's where they're based. So we're going to launch a site with a Signature Society store. And what we're also going to do is start producing lower cost books that are being using this bonded leather material that is made by the same people that make the really high-end Spanish stuff. In fact, this stuff is made from the remnants of this stuff when it's cut. So it's literally the best fake leather that you can get. Now, Castalia Library is never going to do fake leather. And in fact, we're moving away from the cowhide that we've been using. You know, we're going to keep using it for junior classics and Arts of Dark and Light because we want them to match the current books, obviously. But we're basically working at upgrading our leather game as much as possible. However, because Folio doesn't do leather, because they just do regular hardcovers, we can offer a better product at a less expensive price if we're using this like honey Sedona grade. It's really, this is really good stuff. We're actually using it, like I said, the reason we have all this stuff is because we are using it for our clients, who preferred it to the stuff that we've been using for Castalia Library. That's how good it is. But it's much cheaper. And so what that means is we haven't decided definitively on a price point, but it means that we will, people who are Signature Society members, remember, we're reinstituting the old membership model from Folio Society that was very, very successful. And of course, we're going to also start with some of the books. They launched back in 1947. So all the books that they did initially are now public domain. And so we're going to compete directly with them by using their successful tactics from the past, successful classic books from the past, and we're going to offer higher quality books for equal to or less than what they're selling them for. What's interesting is that last year they had about 70,000 customers. But what was fascinating is that of those 70,000 customers, 40,000 of them were new. That means that they lost, let me look this up, I actually have these numbers. You know me. Once I decide that we have to focus on someone, I do my homework, right? So, so let's see here. Yeah, so they have gone from a maximum of 134,556 members. These are people who are willing to buy 4 books a year. They're now down to, from that community, only 30,000 bought even 1 book from them in 2023. They've lost over 100,000 customers in the last 18 years. They're down more than half. They're down from, they had 83,000 10 years ago. So theoretically, there's 50,000 customers who might potentially be interested in these type of books if we pursue that. So, all I'm asking you guys to do, if you're Castalia Library subscribers, is just engage in the conversation. You guys are already doing your part. You guys are already doing everything that we need. What I'm hoping is that this is going to enable some new people to come in at a lower price point, and pick up a library book or two, a history book or two, as well as maybe some of the new stuff. And so that's what we're planning. The store will be operational in July. We're actually going to get that going before the Castalia Library store. And we should by then be able to say what the first Signature Society book is going to be. Because with our own bindery, we have much more flexibility in being able to do a small number of books, and get the ball rolling. So anyhow, we're not asking any of our library subscribers to support this or to buy the Signature Society books. Obviously, if you want to, that's great. But they're not going to be done to the same high level that the library or certainly the Libraria books are. So anyhow, I appreciate the interest. I think that this is going to be a really effective way for us to grow. And of course, the fact that we've got the whole thing with Dorking going, et cetera, with the jerseys being advertised, with the jerseys advertising the library, I think we're gonna, I think it's going to be very effective. And the goal, just to be clear, is for us, not Folio Society, but for Castalia Library to be the clear number 2 within 4 years. So that's the objective. Right now, they are currently producing, just so we have a metric to compare to, right now they are currently producing 50 books a year, and they have sales of 13.4 million. So that gives us 4 years to pass them up. Now, I personally suspect that I've already calculated that they're probably going to drop to 11.5 million for 2024, but we'll see. Yeah, throw out some ideas. Like what I'd love to know is what can we do for you guys as Signature Society members? Because remember, all library and Libraria and history subscribers are automatically Signature Society members. $13.4 million. Probably pound. No, I think I converted to dollars. They do 52 different. They do about 50 different books a year. Please don't give Signature the special Castalia slow mode shipping and production. That's ours. No, it's not going to be the slow production. The subscription stuff is stuff that you are going to get that's going to be unique to you. Is there a list of old folio books that are out of copyright? Of course. I've already got the complete list of all the books they've ever done. Prices, you name it. What we're working on is we're going to keep Castalia doing what it's doing. What Castalia does is necessary to do the high level of quality that we do. the Signature Society stuff is going to be a bit more normal. It's still going to be nicer than anything else that's out there that isn't produced by us or Easton, but and just so you know, our printer is 100% on board with this. Um, Apparently, Folio is just unpleasant to work with. I was talking to one guy who did a job for them about 15 years ago, and it was just unbelievably. I mean, what they wanted him to do was unbelievably stupid, and was just obnoxious. But you know, they had the ability to throw their weight around back then. Not so much now. um, Bilbo says, yes, make their best classical works better than they did. Exactly. Um, Include a dorking bookmark for Signature Society members. I like that idea. I mean, I mean, what do you guys think? Would you guys all like, um, you know, with your next book shipments, um, would you like to get a Signature Society bookmark? Um, we could probably arrange to make them either in leftover leather once the bindery is rolling, or we could do them in this you know, exact bonded leather stuff, uh, you know, that we that we're working with, like this. So, um, but if you have ideas, if there's things that you want, email them. Also, uh, we've already set up a, one thing I would like is for you guys to subscribe when the time comes. Subscribe to the Signature Society Substack. We've already got that set up. And of course, we're going to do the same sort of thing that we do with Castalia Library Substack, is to get them you know, have excerpts from the books that we're doing up there. Not excerpts, but like serializations. So, I mean, it's really remarkable. There's like 800 people a day read the serialization of the Oman book, which is a great book, of course, but I'm still a little bit surprised that that many, you know, that the number has continually grown from, you know, start out like 200 and now it's up to 800 a day. Um, so, you know, I think we're onto something here. We've got inspiration now. You know me. I'm not really inspired unless there, you know, somebody's doing something. Now, the other thing that's going to be interesting about Signature Society is that signature refers to the component parts of a book. You know, pages are usually sewn together in 16-page signatures. But what we're planning to do with the Signature Society is when we do those books, I've already talked to the printer about it, and we're going to arrange to, wherever possible, have them all signed where it's appropriate. Obviously, if it's Cicero, we're not going to have it signed. But if we do a John C. Wright book, if we do a Larry Correa book, whatever else we do, we're going to, the Signature Society will you know, attempt to make sure that it's delivering signed books. So that's actually more of a Franklin thing, to be honest. You know, what they called their signed first edition line. You know, behind me I've got Umberto Eco's Foucault's Pendulum that was done that way. Maybe eventually we'll work towards that, but in the meantime, the immediate advantage of Signature Society is going to be the ability to buy library history and library books at a discount, you know, without but again, the subscription price is always going to be better. Part of the goal will be to, over time, move people who are, you know, members of the Signature Society, who are just, you know, buying books here and there, move them into the subscribers, into that community. Hopefully, if we deliver enough quality, you know, for example, somebody who subscribed a year ago and just got their first book. They got Pride and Prejudice today. Their immediate response was, I think I need to go back and order a couple of the previous books, because now they've actually seen the quality and they see the difference between that and a regular hardcover, regular paperback, et cetera, et cetera. The value is really there. So anyhow, thanks for genuine leather better than bonded for bookmarks, I think. Well, yeah, definitely. But I just thought it would be useful. Maybe we do two, I thought it would be useful just so people can see what it is, to see what it's like. It's important for people to actually get the chance to see in their hands and feel it, what the different quality leathers and so forth are like. My bookshelves demand more books, so this is great. More things like Oman books. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. Again, now one thing that was a little disappointing is that we learned from the technician today that both of our machines are not the larger size machine. One of them is the smaller model, the Kleine Decke, which means that we can't use it for most of the books that we do. However, it is good for the demi-octavo size. And so, that means that our maximum capacity, not counting the demi-octavos, is about 700,000 a year. That's still obviously way more than we could ever imagine needing in the next 2 years anyhow, but still a little disappointing. On the other hand, our first and biggest client, that's exactly the size that he wants. And so what that means is we can have one machine that's basically dedicated to turning out his different books at that size. No, and that's not a bad size. I mean, that's the size of all of our paperbacks. So so that might be, what we might end up is having that machine mostly dedicated to Signature Society and have the other one dedicated to all the library and libraria and history books. Hard to say. But anyhow, so that's what's going on. Appreciate that. And just for fun, I was messing around. I took an old Psychosonic demo and decided to put a different spin, added a verse, put a different spin on it, and fired it up with Suno. So check this out. This is the Cosmic Trigger Mark II. I think you might at least get a kick out of hearing it. I don't know if we'll actually ever do anything with this, but it's kind of fun.
Kundalini at the base of the spine, a dream world flying out of space and time. Tantric sex in the ultrazone, infinite pleasure you can make your own. Take a lick of this man's face, tell me do you see the sun? There's a lemon drop about to fall, and it's scaring everyone. Don't come inside, cause Cinderella's can't decide. Try the red spot on the forehead, vintage mind way suicide. Oh, I'm gonna get the cosmic trigger. You got to I'm gonna get the cosmic trigger. Try to hold up if you can. Listen, can you hear the sun? There's a black spot on the umbra, and it's hunting everyone. Don't say her name, don't say her name. You know that Eris is to blame. Search the cosmos for the chaos, primal brainwave genocide. I'm gonna get the cosmic trigger. You got to I'm gonna get the cosmic trigger. cosmic trigger. You've got to pull, pull, pull. I'm the cosmic trigger. Pull, pull, pull. I'm the cosmic trigger. You've got to pull, pull, pull. I'm the cosmic trigger.
So that was just messing around with some old demo psychosonic stuff. Adding a little bit to it. Got another, got to add another verse to that one, but maybe get rid of that initial bit. But anyhow, it's just fun. It's just fun. Avalanche says, already 2 chapters into Pride and Prejudice. Glad to hear it showed up. Wonderful, all caps. A joy to hold. Glad you got it. Glad you enjoyed it. You know, what we're aiming to do is to do the best and most beautiful books in the world. That's the goal. That's what we're working toward. And I'm glad you're along on the ride. I'm Vox Day, and this is the Darkstream.